All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, however you are consuming this podcast on the Video Cyber Live. Today's show is presented by the law offices of William Mattar. Hurt in a car, call William Mattar, 444-4444. Call William Mattar today to get the compensation that you deserve. Like I said, this is our typical Monday podcast. No Bills game to go over today, although we're going to talk plenty about the Buffalo Bills and much more. On the video side, we are live, as usual, here late on a Sunday night. Joe in Queens, Joe from Queens, whatever you want to call him.
Joe in Queens. In Queens. Thank you. In Queens. Okay.
Right.
Get it right.
I'm going to have to make a graphic to
no, you don't have to do that. Like I don't care that's fine. You do what you got to do, dog. So
what's going on, man? How you doing?
And not much. I'm a little bit I don't want to say frazzled, but I'm in a I just got back from like Long Island, so I'm like 20 minutes ago, give or take. So I'm a little bit out of it. Not too out of it, but I'm just kind of like, I got home, I did the dishes real quick, and then I got a link from you, like, join us, and that's it. So I was like, okay, so that's it. And I'm just posting our stuff on the X and Blue Sky, so everyone can see it. I'm trying to find the best gifts and all that sort of rigmarole. But that's it.
You went to AEW on Saturday night. Did you? You did go, right?
Yes, I did. I did go. I went with a couple of friends of mine, and it was fun. I mean, it's a long wrestling show. It started at 7 and it ended at 12:30, which is
it's a long show.
Yeah, we were like dying at the end. I was like, okay, and like, Tony Khan's a sick puppy there. So
what kind of beer are you popping off? I'm going to let people know what we're going to talk about on this show today.
Yeah, well, it's your favorite beer, a Leaf Pile, which is a pumpkin pastry beer. So there we go. The cam Leaf Pile Pie. Yes, it's good. It's in Long Island, 8.5% alcohol. It's like a pumpkin pie. It's great. I like it a lot, and I recommend it. So that's what I got. So thanks, pal. Right, so let's get to what we're gonna talk about. First off, I'm actually gonna, because I'm commandeering this show. The Inside Baseball, everyone. Pandering Pat over here tells me on, I think it was Wednesday, like, so you got, like, he doesn't ask like, hey man, do you mind if it was okay if this weekend you can watch this for our show? No, he's like, yeah, this weekend watch Touchdown Love or whatever the hell it's called, Holiday Touchdown. And I'm like, bro, I don't have Hallmark channel. 2, I have no interest. 3, F you. 4, like, well, I don't know if I can, like, the real answer. Well, then I'm gonna get. He always hangs this. I don't know, Steve Bermel or whoever the hell
Steve
this guy
Bermel. It's my guy Steve.
Yeah, the My Guy collection. So every time I'm like, I don't want to do something, he always has this guy as, well, I'm a phone call away from getting Steve Bermel on, and to replace you. I'm like, all right, dude. Well, this weekend, guess what? I don't care, because I don't care about watching the Holiday Touchdown. And then of course, I was looking for it because I don't have Hallmark. And today, like when my kid was down, I was looking for it and I was like, well, I can't find it. Too bad. I'm just going to sit here. And then my beautiful wife decided to go and look on Hallmark Plus or whatever, one of the apps, and you can get a trial. So anyone who's out there who wants to just watch this amazing movie that I'm sure Bill's Mafia cried over while watching, you can do a 7-day free trial of Paramount or of whatever Hallmark Plus, and that's what we did. So we did a 7-day trial. We canceled it, so you can thank her
You
because I
canceled it
was.
already.
Yes, of course. I'm not.
Why not get another 6 days out of it? Maybe there's something else you want to
Well,
see.
well, you can still watch it until like the 6 days, but no,
Right.
I'm good. I don't need to watch all these damn Hallmark movies. I do. The one I will say this about Hallmark, they have awesome Christmas ornaments, and I have a bunch of their Christmas ornaments, so I will give them props on that. But I can care less about the television show. But
Let's.
yeah. So we're gonna have that review at some point tonight.
We're
which is
going to
gonna
have
be.
it in a few minutes.
Oh God! Wait, hold on.
Oh
Before
my
we get
God.
there, yeah,
Off the rails. When there's no Bills game to talk about, it takes literally 3 minutes to get off the rails. Go ahead.
I've been saying this. I've been asking for like 7-8 months. Two things. One, when are we gonna do our Cobra Kai like review since the series is over? I thought you were a huge fan. You had Mafia Matt and Bro Scott from Channel 2 on, and you guys talked about it all the time. And then, like, I'm thinking, okay, like, we're going to talk about the end of Cobra Kai. Do we do that? No. I have no idea why. I don't know if I'm not a part of the Cobra Kai inner circle of Pats. Like, I don't know if you're waiting till next year and then you're going to invite Mafia Matt and Mailbag Jay or whoever, clickbait Talbot. I don't know, but like I'm waiting to do this Cobra Kai thing, which we haven't done. And then second, I've asked you like 10, 20 different times. Watch Peacemaker. You're a wrestling fan. You'll love it. John Cena's really good in it. It's violent. It's great. And you don't want to watch Peacemaker because I wouldn't mind reviewing it. I don't mind doing off-topic stuff. But all your off-topic stuff you want to do is terrible. Like, we're about to review this stupid movie. You won't watch Peacemaker until like one of your guys on social media from the Bro Beat says, "Hey, Peacemaker's really good. I gotta," and retweet it and be like, "I gotta watch it, but you're my guy," and that's it. So anyway, I'm just here now. You can take the show over. That's my Festivus.
Well, for the people who are listening to this, before we talk about it, I did want to say, typically on a Sunday at 9:00, we're recapping the Bills game for that day, however that game went. However, they played on Thursday night. We did do a live show right after the game on Thursday. Of course, the Bills lost in Houston last Thursday. Today, shortly, we're going to spend some time talking about this roster. It's a roster filled with flaws. We're going to talk about some of the guys who are regressing, some guys who just have some bad contracts, some young guys who aren't stepping up. So we'll hit on that a little bit. I got a Keon Coleman take that I want to share with you that kind of is symbolic of the Bills as an organization. I want to share that with you and everybody. Talk about Josh Allen a little bit. We'll talk about how Sunday went for the Bills for people who hate watching around the league. Spoiler alert, it went very badly today here on Sunday. If you're a Bills fan for certain scenarios. Talk about the playoffs, path to the playoffs. Maybe it's not as easy as you think. So we're going to get to plenty of Bills stuff today, even though there's no game to talk about, so to speak. For that, though, I had to tell you this, man. In fact, I started to tell you on Saturday. So I sent you a message without getting into, personal details. Your son was under the weather. It happens, toddlers get sick. So anyway, we didn't
more than under the weather, yeah.
So anyway, it wasn't a great time to talk to you. You were taking care of your sick child on Saturday. But what I wanted to tell you, and I'll tell you now on the show, you had a fan. I met a fan of Joe from Queens. It was actually kind of cool. So I went on Saturday, and big shout out, by the way, Northtown Volkswagen.
Wow.
I went there with my son Shane to buy a new car. He bought a Volkswagen Jetta. He bought a Jetta. So anyway, we were there. My buddy Joe Aiello, I grew up with him on the West Side. He's a manager there, so I hooked up with him. Told me, gave me some information. Came in there. Did all that stuff, filled out all the paperwork. Everybody there was awesome. So, again, I got to give a big shout out. Anyway, one of the managers there, a guy named Zach, I started talking to, and he's a fan of the podcast. I had a Talking Buffalo hoodie on, and I recognized me. We started talking about the show a little bit, and we're just talking Bills, general stuff. Because there's when you're filling out the paperwork, you got to wait for the financing. There's pretty large time gaps that you got to fill. So, the guy, Zach, comes over. We're talking sports and talking about the show. And he goes, I like son, that Joe from Queens guy. I like when he's on. I like when you guys talk about the media stuff. And he got into the media stuff. So I was like, dude, don't give him any credit, man.
Unlike you, I don't have an ego. It's one of my biggest problems. I'm pretty modest and chill. I know someone gives you a compliment, like you got a stiffy all day. Where I'm just like, you act like you've been there. That's the difference. I act like I've been there. So I'm very happy for whoever, the car dealer, Lionel Hutz, whatever, I don't know, whatever car dealer you were
I
going, you were
said
at.
Volkswagen, Northtown
Oh,
Volkswagen.
okay.
Great service,
Yes.
by the way. I seriously,
Okay.
I don't care if I'm pandering. I'll give them a shout out. It was an
Why aren't they
awesome
our
experience.
sponsor?
It was the,
Does Podfather have a car sponsor? Why can't they be our sponsor?
maybe I should get a
Why
car
don't you
sponsor,
do like,
man.
yeah,
But
we could do it. We could do a podcast live from your car. Like,
so I can't just give someone a compliment without being
Nope.
pandering, huh? It was great service. I wanted to relay that. So if you're looking for a car, if you're a Volkswagen
What's
guy,
bad
you got a ton of
service?
used cars.
What's bad service as a car dealership? You're going in there, like, what would be considered bad?
Annoying,
Like,
being annoyed,
what you're buying? Okay.
trying to oversell, trying to upsell you every little tiny thing.
Oh God, you would be the worst car salesman ever.
Probably.
Yeah, you look like a used car salesman.
Yeah.
You do, But
anyway, service was great.
yes.
It was really cool. So I get a message from you. I'm going to play this on my microphone, see if everybody can hear this.
No.
This was Joe's reaction to watching this show today. Hold on, I got it. You sent me an audio message like you always do.
Hey, loser, I'm watching this piece of shit movie now. We started a free trial, me and the missus. You should thank her because she decided to do it for me when I was like, I don't care about this movie at all. And that's it. So you're lucky that I hate you, and I'm doing this for Tooch. That's it. Fuck off.
Yep,
Fuck off at the end.
These are
Doing it for Tooch. Tooch will pop in here maybe at at some point. But that's like a little when I have the kind of conversation. Anyway, all right. So before we get into some Bills stuff, this was for Bills Mafia, kind of a, well, at least for some people anyway, a big deal, a fun thing on Saturday night. That Hallmark movie did drop 8 p.m. on Saturday. It was called Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story. If you're a Bills fan, surely you've heard a lot about it. A lot of local people, some media, a handful of fans that are pretty well known. They had little cameos in this. We'll go through over a couple things. Well, let me start here. Let me just ask you straight up. You did watch the movie. Before you answer me, like, what were your thoughts on the movie? Do you typically, you don't typically watch these types of movies. So that needs to be put out there too. Like, you're not a Christmas movie, cheesy Christmas movie, rom-com kind of guy.
I wouldn't say, I don't watch Hallmark movies. Okay. Like, I do, like, if we did a Christmas movie draft, I could definitely, like, look, you and I, we're never on the same page on anything, but you and I love the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray, right? Like the Christmas movie like that. Like, doesn't that count as one?
Sure. No, those are like legit. Those are true.
Yeah, like those are
Hollywood
true, like
Christmas
like,
movies.
Yeah, the Hollywood, but not the not the Hallmark.
All right, so you don't really
but
have
I know of them. Like it's the same story. Like they like the friend zone couple, and then they love each other at the end. It's the same.
It's a common, that's the common Hallmark type of Christmas movie. Anyway, we'll go over a couple things. I'll tell you what I liked, a few things that I thought I didn't like, but what were your overall thoughts of this movie? You know, the Buffalo references, the some of the scenery, of course. It was pretty authentic when it came to that, at least to some extent anyway. What did you think, man?
The positives I will say is East Aurora looks really nice. And I can only remember going there once where I went to a brewery there. I think 42 North is there. And I had heard a lot of good things about it. So I went there. It was before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was like 7 years ago. That's the only time I ever went there. But it made East Aurora look really nice. And I do like those type of small towns where like there's stores and like they're cute and they like mom and pop shops. I love those until I see a Trump sign and I'm out of there. But other than that, like I like those cute kind of towns. So I thought it made that town look really good to the point to where I was like, man, when I go back for Christmas, I wouldn't mind going to that town.
Well, your thought is right, because it is a very quaint, cute, small town. It's fun. Yeah.
And I also, correct me if I'm wrong, I did not know Ralph Cifaretto was in this movie. The guy that played the uncle. I thought it was Tony Danza was supposed to be in it.
He dropped.
He dropped. What happened? Why did he drop? Because I remember
I don't know. He originally, you are right. I don't know why, but you are right. Tony Danza was originally cast for this movie.
I'm assuming he was Ralph. He had to have been Ralph Cifaretto's.
Yeah, he was Uncle Tommy. I believe he was Uncle Tommy in this movie. He was supposed to be Uncle Tommy, and he dropped. And then, they did Ralphie from The Sopranos
Yes,
came
and
in.
then him and Bacala were in it. I thought Bacala was going to have a bigger role in that movie, and he kind of didn't, which was a little bit surprising. I don't know, maybe because I don't know. I don't. Bacala, I have no idea where he's been in since Sopranos. I just know he's always in sports stuff. It feels like he's always at Knicks games and he's in commercials, kind of thing. I guess, or social media, you see him.
Yeah.
So look, that's what I took like the good thing. Everything else, yeah, the stuff about like you said, like the Bills, like circle the wagon stuff or whatever, the Marv Levy with the girl mentioning that speech, that was fine. Like, look, it was what it was. It was cheesy. It's not going to win any Oscars. I'm never going to watch it again.
Can I tell you a funny story? I watched it twice back to back.
Oh my god!
I
'Cause
watched it the
you want
first
to
time.
pander. You
So I
want to
watched it
pander.
at 8. I watched it at 8 o'clock the first
Lord.
time with my kid.
Did you
his
watch it
girl.
on the All 22? Is that why
I
you
did
watched
not
it
watch
twice?
the all. Did not watch the all 22.
All 22.
So here's the funny part. I watched it the first time with my wife and son, and I mean with not my wife, with my son and his girlfriend. My wife wasn't home. And at about 10:30, about a half hour after it came over, I made my wife watch it with me. She hates Christmas movies. Well, I shouldn't say that. She hates these kind of Christmas
I think she
movies.
hates hanging out with you. That's why
She's
she
not
didn't
a big
watch
fan of that either. But I said, you know what? Second time, I'll be able to make more notes, so I'll watch it again. So I'll kind of have a better idea of what I'm talking about. But yeah, I literally made her suffer. She did not like it at all. That's just not that type of movie
like
goer.
it was like whatever. It was exactly how I expected. A few people when I when I'm Blue Cry or Blue Sky as
Blue
I call
Cry.
it. Yes, Blue Cry. And a couple people were like, "Oh, hey, if you watch these movies, it was above average for a Hallmark movie." So,
I think
I
that's
guess
fair.
I guess the one thing I'll say is for you like I know you've been with your lady for a long time, right? Long time. Have you ever had like that friend zone girl? Like, because that was the whole thing of this movie. Like, the guy really liked this girl a lot and, like, wanted to tell her. Everyone knew it. All the cameo guys knew it. Like, oh, this guy has it for her. And then, like, he blurts it out at the end, like, spoiler. Like, he blurts it out at the end and she needed to go clear her head or, make sure that her exes weren't coming back so she can, like, hook up with him. But I digress. But have you ever done that in your life where you had a friend zone girl and you were like, oh, I really like you, friend zone girl? And then, like, had that ever happened to you? Because I know it's been like you haven't done that since like the 60s, or 70s, but has that ever happened to you?
There was a girl once
Okay.
when I was in my young 20s that I did like kind of a friend zone situation. I never professed my love and got shot down, though. I did stay in the friend zone and eventually gave up.
But did you try though? Did you? So you had no like try?
I never.
Like, you never like, hey, I like you.
Nah.
What from what you remember?
Nah, dude, I was a bartender, dude. I had sex with drunk girls. I get drunk. I hooked up with everybody in my 20s.
Oh, God.
Hooked up with everybody in my 20s. And then I met my wife, and I've been married for 24 years. So I don't know. I never really had a friend.
There's no way. Oh, that must have been the worst bar crowd of all time if they had to hook up with you. Jesus.
I thought what you just said from people that you talked to who said for a Hallmark movie it was pretty good. I agree with that. I thought it was for a Hallmark movie. Like last year they did a Chiefs one, which I hate myself for watching that. Not because it's the Chiefs. It could have been the Lions or the Bears, whoever. This one I thought was significantly better. I thought the supporting cast was better. There were some recognizable people in it, like the two dudes from The Sopranos. Tracy Pollan, who was the mother, the widowed mother. She's a pretty well-known name. And then
who was Santa? Santa was someone.
He was in it last year. I don't know who it was, but he was in the Kansas City Chiefs one last year. Keto Santa. Skinny fucking Santa. I thought he sucked.
He looked familiar, that actor. Like, I looked him up, I would probably know, because he looked familiar, and Mrs. Claus kind of looked familiar as well. So go ahead. What's Steve Noble got to say? I want to read Steve Noble. We should read some comments, while we're doing this amazing thing, but
Well,
go ahead.
Let me say this. So every year, Joe, man, I know you're going to think this is corny as hell. I'm a big Christmas movie guy. First of all, I like to, you remember the things I used to do with Joe from Joe Yurden, how we would power rank everything. We would have drafts. I'm a big fan of just writing reviews, like quick bullet hit reviews and ranking and sticking something somewhere in ranking. So every year when the new batch of Christmas movies come out, I watch most of them. and then I watch them, I review them, I grade them. I've seen 4 already this weekend. Literally this weekend. I stayed home this weekend. I
Right.
watched 4 Christmas movies. This was actually the best of the 4 I've seen. The other 3 I watched on Netflix over the weekend. A Sprinkle of Christmas. So I'm going to save people some time if you like Christmas movies and you don't know what to watch. These are all on Netflix. A Sprinkle of Christmas is fucking terrible. Merry Little Xmas. That's with remember Alicia Silverstone from Clueless?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was obsessed with her when she was young. I was hot.
I'm sure you were. You probably.
She's aged, but
yeah.
she's still cool, man. Anyway, she was in that movie. I would say that was tolerable. And then there was Merry Christmas, like Mary's and I'm gonna marry you Christmas. One of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen in my life. In fact, I just watched that earlier today. This one was pretty good. I really liked Uncle Tommy, Ralphie from The Sopranos.
Ralphie was really good.
He was really, really good, man. I thought he kind of actually I know the movie wasn't primarily about him, but I thought his scenes were the best. Like, they were the closest to being legitimate movie scenes that kind of would make you feel a little bit something. I thought he was really good in this, man. I liked a lot of the Buffalo references, which maybe only Buffalo people would get. People, like, hot sauce with the wings and extra blue cheese, and you had Paula's Donuts. They showed that. They had a beef on weck reference, which was pretty cool. Some visuals. Like, we saw Barbill Vidlers was a central part of this movie. That's a little shop in Easter War.
I never heard of Vidler. Like, again, Easter War to me was like the bigger star of the movie. Like,
It was 100%.
And I was like, oh, this looks like, I was like, what's Vidler's? I honestly thought it was like a made up place and they just made it up. And I was like, oh, and I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's
an old craft shop. Yeah, it's been around there forever. Elm Street Bakery, it's a real thing. Oshai Children's Hospital was featured on there. So, all that stuff was cool. Lots of cameos from Bill's people. Deion Dawkins, DeMar, Dwayne Carter, Ray Davis. I thought his was terrible. Him and Dawson Knox. Like,
was Ray Davis the car guy who was in the car? I was like, I liked his cameo. His cameo was great. What the hell are you talking about?
Come on, he's sitting in the car waiting.
I like that Ray Davis cameo. I thought that was good. I was like, who is this guy? I knew it had to be a Bill, but like, that was a good cameo. Shut up. That was a good cameo.
Anyway, all right. Well, he was in there. I said Dawson Knox, and they had one scene with Thurman, Reed, and Scott Norwood, which was pretty cool.
That was an interesting one. They were a little awkward. They were a little awkward. Those three.
Very awkward. It kind of felt like they were. Yeah,
it was a little bit forced, but it's fine. They're not actors.
The last one they had Jim Kelly and Reed Ferguson, Josh Palmer, Tasker.
Oh, Palmer, your boy. Yeah, you got him on the Hall of Fame.
Chris Brown had a couple. He had a speaking role, and they showed him briefly on screen. Yeah. Sal Capaccio had 2 scenes, the one line. I knew you were waiting for that one the whole movie. And then he was in like the group conference where he was the construction guy. Gabe was naked everybody.
Oh, he was. I gotta talk. Get to the other cameos because I got takes on the cameos, especially.
All right, well, I got one more take. Here was one of my bigger takes from the movie. So all those guys that I just mentioned, you know what I thought was the best? You know what the best cameo I thought in this movie, like the most well done cameo?
Ooh.
Sean McDermott. I thought Sean McDermott's little talk with Gabe, and then when he walked away, his comment about how he's infatuated with this girl. I liked Sean. Let Sean cook, man. Sean was cooking in this fucking with his cameo, man. I thought he was really good. He was the best cameo as far as I was concerned. I thought he was really, really solid. So those are probably some of the things I liked.
I know you hate DeMar, but DeMar was good in it. I thought DeMar was good. You hate DeMar. DeMar was good. Ray Davis was good. I mean, McDermott was fine. Okay, so it's time to make fun of some people. So the bar bill scene in the beginning. I mean, let me tell you. Okay, so Mafia Matt was in it. I actually got a text from someone in the media, I won't say who was like, "Are you watching this?" He's like, "Perino's on here." I'm like, "Oh, and then watching them, I was a little bit annoying for my wife during the cameo parts because I would literally be like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where I would just point out and be like, "Oh, look, that's Perino and that's Salfie and all these people." But in the beginning, like I see them and like I think Mafia Matt went into business for himself a little bit because when I don't know how many you've been to a bar a billion times.
Yeah.
When you're watching a game and you got someone next to you, you usually are talking like this, like I'm looking on camera like this, like, oh, like the Bills need to do something here because you don't want to miss anything. Instead, he's like this the whole time, and his face is right on camera behind the girl. Like I can see his face, or that guy she was on the bad date with. And I saw his face like this. Everyone who's looking at the camera was like this. I think he went into business for himself because as an extra, you're not really supposed to be seen. You're like a body double. That's it. I think he went into business for himself.
You
Wanted
know
to
it's
get
a
on the
movie,
camera.
right? Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, there was a
No,
director.
he went into business for himself. He was like, he saw his face big, and you know, clickbait Talbot. He had a big role as the extra. Like he was
He got
focused.
his face on there a few times.
Yeah,
The lead actress put her
yeah,
arm on his shoulders. I was like, that was
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
It was
I mean,
funny because they were dressed up in Bills gear and they're fans, but that was their role. Again, they're
I,
actors in the
yeah.
movie. And by the way, you're wrong.
I'm ready. I'm ready for your boy Pergament to write an article saying like
From what I heard, I'm not talking.
journalists should not be in this movie
Oh, I
with a
know. And wearing Bills stuff. It's a bad look. It's a terrible look. Bills media people posing as fans is a bad look. Per Alan Burke Pergamon. Anyway, what I've heard, and not with that scene necessarily, just generally speaking, there were a lot of like little tiny scenes that you'd be surprised how many times they got to shoot them. So if something wasn't right with the scene, they would have done it over. So I don't agree with you. If Matt had his head turned, it was probably
they got a budget.
They
got a budget. They got a budget. Look, all I'm saying, they probably had too many takes, and they were like, all right, forget it. We got to get to the next location because time is money on these shoots. Telling you,
right off the bat, by the way, very first scene of the movie, very first thing is Kristen Kidd. You know Kristen Kidd. I saw Leslie sitting down very briefly.
I saw Leslie. Yeah, I saw.
I did not see. So Dell and Bill's. I saw Bill's Elvis very briefly. Dell. I did not see Dell. He was
Dell.
in there,
Dell was in him? Like I saw him at the when they were on the first date scene. You can see him at the side, like the back of his, because he knows what he's doing. He's looking straight at the TV. He's not like this, like Mafia Matt, like turning around, trying to get on camera. That's what Mafia Matt was doing. I'm telling you, watch it again. I'm sorry, Mafia Matt, you went into business for yourself. I know what you did. You went into business for yourself. I'm sorry, Mafia Matt. You went into business for yourself.
All right. So like I said, so there were plenty, like I said, cameos. Chris Brown was on. Sal Capaccio had two scenes. One was something.
Let me say this about Sal. All I kept thinking was hey, look, good for Sal. He got some speaking roles. He got his dream of working for the Bills, you know, as the actor or whatever. The one thing I would say, because he was in the meeting when that guy was talking about the construction, and everyone's looking at the guy, and Sal is like nodding his head like this, and then looks over at the other guy and nods again. Like he's very like
he's into it, dude. He's committed.
He's nodding. And you know what I thought about? The story, maybe you heard this. There's a story with Vince McMahon where Vince McMahon in meetings hated people who nodded when he was talking. Like if you were doing this while he was talking, hated it. And there was a story that Stephanie McMahon went to that guy after the meeting and was like, you stop nodding. Vince does not like people who nod. So if Sal was in a Vince McMahon meeting, he would have gotten Stephanie McMahon being like, hey dude, no more nodding. No more nodding, dude. But yes, I was look, it was I'm happy for I'm just saying I'm happy as much as I'm busting balls about Mafia Mad and Salfie and all them, you know, good for them. I know it meant a lot to them. I'm sure they had parties and they've been watching it all day. And, you know, they probably have it at the mall right now. They probably commandeered a projector somewhere at a movie theater. And we're like, we're going to watch the by Cameo. Like, no, I'm serious. Good for them. Good for them. I'm so, why didn't you know, my wife asked this, like, why didn't you try to get on this? Like, you got friends in low places.
No.
Come on. You could have Talking Buffalo back.
I regret not shooting my shot though. Like trying to get on it, just to see your face on the screen for even a second, probably really cool. Like I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. Real quick though, because I just realized we spent half our show talking about a movie that if people haven't watched it or aren't going to watch it, they're like, "What the hell are we even doing here?"
Guys, you're not missing much. Okay, it's like the worst Full House episode you ever watched.
It is not. It's better than that, man.
Are you kidding me? Like. How dare you shit on Full House like that? Full House is a great show. Come on.
You know what? You know what I didn't like
cheesy.
with the Bills stuff, with the Buffalo stuff. Again, I liked a lot of the scenery, the foods, all that stuff. The Marv Levy stuff, though, that just came off as just. I kind of like that. It was too corny. The whole "Where would you rather be?" right here, right now, or you know, like when it's just what's wrong, it's just right for us. They're just using that in the everyday dialogue.
What'd you think?
Nobody in Buffalo does that shit. Nobody does that shit.
Well, you know, oh come on, okay. Well, you know, it is a Hallmark movie. It is funny how much people wear Bills. Like my wife sat there when we were watching it. Everyone had Bills gear on. She's like, that wouldn't like people who are watching that would never think that's a thing. But obviously, it is a thing. And then like she's like, but it would be a thing from where we are. you know. So
Well, another thing I thought was kind of funny. Like, so Jim Kelly and Dion and those guys come up and, you know, they play flag football. And I'm thinking to myself, I tweeted about this. I'm like, these guys basically gave up spending Christmas with their own fucking families to come play flag football at Highmark Stadium with a bunch of strangers. Like, Gabe's got that much pull, the lead character. It's like, nah, man.
Gabe reminded me of like a Timu like Jim from Office, like a Timu Jim kind of thing. Like his look. He was kind of a Timu Jim. You hated him, didn't you? Just say it. I know you're trying to pander to everyone right now and you love it. You didn't like the lead actor. Just admit it.
Someone said Pat could have played the uncle role. Yeah, me and Ralphie from The Sopranos.
Yeah,
we pretty much have the same acting chops.
Who was a better character, Ralphie or Bacala?
In this movie?
No, in Sopranos. I don't give a shit about
Ralphie.
Ralphie was better.
100%.
He was such a terrible human in that
Speaking
show.
of Bobby, like in this movie, in this Hallmark movie, the dude just wanted to enjoy a fucking hot dog or a pizza roll or something, and his wife kept slapping that shit out and making him eat celery. I thought that was bullshit. One last thing, and then we're gonna get up. We're gonna be done with this. I promise you. There was one part of the movie that actually excited me, and then it pissed me off. But it would only matter to me. They were looking up what ended up being Mia. They were trying to find her, and they found the street. It was Abbotsford Place. I got excited as hell because I grew up on Abbotsford Place. I literally spent 18 years, my entire youth. I lived on Abbotsford Place. However, that's just on the west side. I live in a little tiny street. In the movie, it's somewhere in Eastern Warren. Is this big fucking mansion house. I was like, that house is bigger than literally the half of the entire street of Abbotsford Place when I grew up. But anyway, all in all, I thought it was fun. It was enjoyable. If you like Hallmark movies, I think it's better than average.
Have you been to Bar Bill in that location for wings?
Yeah, many times.
Now, the East Aurora Bar Bill is much better than all the other Bar Bills, right?
Yeah, it's the real one. It's the OG, and it's the best one.
Is the real one, is that in your top 3 places for wings in Buffalo?
Yes.
Okay. Are you sure? Yeah. You're not pandering. You're not trying to get a sponsor out of here.
911, Bar Bill, those are 1 and 2. And then, you got Elmo's and Sonny Reds, Kelly's Corner, and a couple others, Adolph's, that are right there. It's the top 2. Or 3 place. Anyway, let's do this. On the video side, we're going to take a 5-second break, literally a 5-second break, and then we're going to get into some actual Bills stuff. Probably a lot of annoyed Bills fans with us right now. Be right back. All right, I am done going into business for myself, talking about what I want to talk about on this show. The Bills didn't play, but this is a roster right now, Joe, that's just... It got exposed again on Thursday. It's filled with flaws, and I kind of got 3 categories, and maybe we'll go through them each, different players and where they might fall in with problems on this team. I'm going to start with guys that this team has too many guys right now that have regressed this season or clearly are just straight up past their prime. By the way, a little bit of potential news as we're doing this podcast. There are reports circulating. Some people might get a good laugh out of this.
I know where you're going.
We might, because people will be listening to this sometime on Monday, so maybe something happens already. But there are reports. There's a report out there that Shaq Lawson is working out for the Buffalo Bills tomorrow. So if they didn't have enough former Bills, guys who were good 3-4 years ago with this team on this roster, you might have another one because Shaq might be back. He's in Buffalo. He posted on IG his location, and there's a report. I don't know if it's credible or not. We'll find out. But it's a hole there, and he's supposed to work out for them on Monday. Somebody said.
Yeah, he also posted something on Instagram that he was in town. I don't. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean that's it's kind of hilarious, I guess. Has he play? He didn't play this year. Or, did he play last year?
Nope, he played last year. He was with Buffalo last year.
No, Shaq Lawson wasn't with Buffalo last year.
I believe he was.
No, he wasn't there, Mr.
Are you sure?
I will bet you $1 right now. You'll be Venmoing that $1. He was not here last year. He was here. No, he was not here.
He was with Carolina last year. My bad.
Yeah, thank you. You owe me $1.
He played one game last year. He's played one game since the end of 2023.
Was he even here in 2023? I don't even think he was in 2023.
He was here in 2023. He played 16 games for the Bills in 2023. I remember that much. I'm looking at his stats right now.
Okay, I don't remember him in 2023. I thought he was gone. But okay. Yeah,
well, he's not even what I want to talk about. I'm just throwing him out there as yet another name.
No, I'm just saying, like, okay, well, sorry. I was just going to say, like, I really wonder who's making the call on these X bills. Like, is
Who
a
do you think
Brandon
is
B?
making the call?
You think it's McDermott?
No.
Why would you think it's not McDermott?
Well, it's mainly Brandon. Well, maybe it's McDermott too. Maybe hold on. Maybe that was an
No,
overreaction.
yeah, come on.
It's
Like
probably them too. But listen,
when yeah, he has a say. This isn't. I don't think I'm pretty sure Brandon Bean just didn't say, "Hey, we're gonna sign this guy." All of a sudden, like, oh, cool. Like, I'm sure you gotta. I think I get this guy who messages me all the time, and he always thinks I'm too hard on Brandon Bean when it comes to the players, and not hard enough on McDermott when it comes to roster construction. And I agree with that. I think you're ignoring Sean McDermott as a guy who picks players and has pull.
I don't know that I'm ignoring them.
You are. You're just like, who do you think signed him? Rah! Like you're like, angry.
Well, let's just pretend whether it's Brandon Bean or Sean McDermott or 50-50 or 70-30, whatever. Let's just say Shaq Lawson signs and he ends up on this team, which, by the way, is a possibility. There's too many guys like Shaq Lawson on this team right now, and I think that's part of the problem here. Teron Johnson is, I've said this a few times recently, I feel like he's the oldest 29-year-old in the world right now because of the way he plays football. He was an all-pro. He's been amazing. But he gets hurt a lot because of the way he plays. He's a very physical dude. He's an undersized linebacker on this team, and I feel like that has caught up to him. He is not the same player this year. He has regressed, and he's been banged up. Matt Milano, same kind of deal. You know what I mean? He's a lot closer to the end than the beginning. And now with Terrell Bernard hurt, they're going to have to count on him more. So if you go back to last Thursday's game, they played a 4-3 to start the game, and he still wasn't on the field. It was Bernard, Shaq Thompson, and Dorian Williams. They were playing Milano at nickel. Sean McDermott said he was trying to save him and keep him healthier, said he played pretty well against Houston. I actually don't disagree with that. But anyway, Matt Milano is not the Matt Milano we know. He's another regression player. Jordan Poyer has been okay, but this is a guy who is way past his prime. DaQuan Jones, he's been okay, but he's another guy that is way past his prime. I'm starting to think, Joe, let me know if you think I'm wrong. We might have hit on this Thursday. I can't remember. Deion Dawkins might be getting in that territory where I'm not sure that Deion Dawkins is the same player that we've seen the last couple of years. You pointed out to me, I believe it was you pointed out a stat that he's leading the NFL right now in false starts. I don't think that's because he's a dumb player. I think that's because he's trying to cheat a little bit and get off the ball quicker because guys are starting to beat him more. So anyway, that's, again, Teron, Milano, Poyer, DaQuan. Let's throw in Trey White. He's playing a lot now. He's starting. He's way past his prime. Deion Dawkins. There's a roster full of guys that just, they're not prime players anymore, man. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the problem, right?
No, I mean, I agree with that. And I also think if you look at this team, like as a whole, since like McDermott came in and Bean came in, it never feels like, and maybe I'm wrong here, they get rid of guys at the right time. Like even like throughout the years of like Poyer, Hyde, they were done. Like, and they were here a year too late. I mean, Poyer was here a year too late, and they brought him back even after the year too late, kind of thing. Like Trey White a little bit. Matt Milan. Like, I wonder if there's a thing where they cannot let go of guys that they find, and like they just keep recycling them and recycling them. They until the wheels fall off.
I
They
forgot
never.
about Jordan Phillips, too, by the way. Throw him in there. Sorry.
Yeah, like there's guy and like especially on this roster this year. But if you go back to like, Cole Beasley was like John Brown, like before the zombie of John Brown came back, when they brought John Brown and Cole Beasley back, we all knew they were done. But when they were done the year before, like Cole Beasley wasn't good in 2021. He had a bunch of catches, but he lost a step. He wasn't good anymore, and they still had him. John Brown the year before in 2020. He had a 1,000-yard season in 2019. He wasn't the same in 2020. He had injury concerns, and he just wasn't the same. He had a good start, and he was dead. And I'm not saying like I'm not faulting them. Like I wasn't sitting there banging the desk saying get rid of John Brown after 2019. But it does feel like the wheels always constantly fall off with some guys who make it here. And they're just like, instead of like letting them go, they let go of Stephon Diggs when we all thought he was done, or not, you thought he was done, not me. And then he wasn't done. But like that's the only time that they cut bait early when you could have said like, oh hey, they cut bait at the right time because they got value for him. Where everyone else, their value has always died. So yeah, you're right. They have like an alumni team on here, but this is what they've been doing, in my opinion, for a while now.
Yeah. So that's, and by the way, I could also maybe throw Gabe Davis on there. I said Tehran might be the oldest 29-year-old ever. Gabe Davis may be the oldest 26-year-old ever. It feels like he's had a lifetime in this league already. And dude's just, and he's just 26. So it's just so many throwbacks to the past. So many guys who are just, again, they're not in the prime of their career. And Brandon Beane or Sean McDermott, whoever you want to divvy it up, whoever else is responsible, the guys they just keep going back to is puzzling. Now, this I do believe is more of a Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott thing. You talk about some of the contracts, the extensions for these core players, and man, two of the extensions from last offseason, Bernard and especially Greg Rizzo right now getting $20 million a year. Those contracts look pretty bad. And Joey Bosa, $12.6 million. And I'll tell you what, that looked like a bargain the first 4 or 6 weeks of the season. But he has been absolutely awful. And I mean awful over the last few weeks. Now, he's played with a sore wrist, but he always gets hurt. And I think he's played too many snaps early in the season. And you're really starting to see that because he has become a liability on this defense. So you go to Brandon Beane. This is part of the problem. Some bad time with Dawson Knox, before this, Tyler Bass before this season. Bernard's starting to feel like a future, this is a really shitty contract. They're stuck with him. Greg Rizzo, pretty shitty contract, and they're going to be stuck with him at some point. You know what I'm saying? The evaluation of the core players and re-signing their own or bringing the guys in and giving them some of these contracts is just not working out.
I wish we can really know who is making these calls more so, whether it's Beane or McDermott. Because look, I know it does feel like it's Beane, and I think Beane, for most of this time frame, he was much popular, got less scrutiny than Sean McDermott for like since 2017, 18, whatever. Like McDermott got a lot of shit, way more than he did, and things have changed since I think the Jeremy White thing and then he kind of put like a target on himself, and I think the roles have reversed. But at the same time, I don't know if Brandon Beane goes rogue a lot or if he's not. Because, you always hear this sometimes. Like, if you don't have it, like, I remember with Doug Whaley and Rex Ryan, they didn't like each other. And, like, they always had issues with the roster. And if you remember, like Doug Whaley was bringing up all these ex-Jets. And I doubt Doug Whaley was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to bring all these ex-Jets in because I like them. And it's probably because Rex came in and was like, I want these guys. Hey, the guy that punched Geno Smith, I want him. You know what I mean? Like, and I wonder how much Sean McDermott wants some of these guys. But you are correct. They do give out extensions very quickly. And it's I told you a couple weeks ago where I thought like maybe you gotta let it play out a little bit longer instead of like waiting for that fourth year option, like the fourth year for them to like, because like if they have been like air quote cheap, let's just say they were like, you know what, we're not going to extend you guys until later this season. Terrell Bernard would be playing on a 1 year deal probably next year. Do you know what I mean? Because he had like such a crappy year this year.
Some kind of prove it.
Yeah, a prove it deal. He probably would be doing that. I don't think Benford would be making the bank like more than he is now.
I don't think the only one I don't agree with that. That's the only one. Tooch, shout out Tooch, by the way. Tooch in the house. He said Benford isn't playing up to his contract either. I would agree with that right now at this moment, but I still have full confidence in Benford, and I think he got underpaid. But all the other ones I would agree with you, especially Greg Rizzo and Bernard.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing about, and that's the thing. They want to really, Brandon Beane has mentioned this. Like, they want to develop, retain. That's his whole MO. He's been saying that for years. And I think sometimes they just do it too quickly. They get too excited when they have an opportunity. And it's one of those things where you can show it to, to Terry Pagula and go, look at how these guys are developed. They're good. We got to sign them because I'm a good drafter. And it's like they fall in love probably way too much. I say they, because again, I really do feel it is
I do too. I think they work in lockstep or try to anyway.
They try to. They may not like each other right now, or they might have their disagreements, but I don't think it's as rogue as like like Sean McDermott goes and gets a hot dog while it's the draft, and Brandon Beane's freaking doing all his magic.
Right.
I don't think it's that way, but you couldn't convince me otherwise, because like Sean McDermott's not the one on the record to say like the Carolina Panthers were a dynasty and like we need to build like them, as your boy Bean did on freaking McAfee and Busting the Bros or whatever the hell that show's called.
Part of me, I want to say guys like, say, Bernard and Groot. It's like for this season, it doesn't really matter what they got paid because these contracts are more about the future. And I've been adamant with Greg Rizzo, film people will show him being a really good run defender. And I'm like, that's great. He's never had 10 sacks in his career. A guy who's never had double-digit sacks, it just blows my mind that he would get $20 million a year. But that money also matters because that's less money they had this year to go do something else. That's less money that maybe there was a guy that they would have liked at the trade deadline at some point, but they couldn't afford him because they tied up more money into some of these extensions. So I don't know. But another big issue for me, and I look at some of these good teams that are, like say the Chiefs that are always good. They're struggling right now, but the big win for them on Sunday. But one thing about the Chiefs, year after year after year, they always have good young players they draft to make impacts to some extent immediately. Not necessarily stars, but they contribute. And part of the problem with the Buffalo Bills, there's just too many young dudes on this team who don't give them anything at all. Keon Coleman, obviously. TJ Sanders, I know he was hurt earlier, but he didn't do anything before and he hasn't done anything since. Second round pick, you move up for him. What's he done for you? Landon Jackson, nothing. And then he got hurt. He's done probably for this season. Dwayne Carter got hurt this year, unfortunately. Last year as a rookie, not too much from him. There's just too many young guys on this team who are absent, who just don't help. And they're because of that, they're too dependent on the Jordan Poyers and the Jordan Phillipses of the world because they don't get Trey Weiss because these young guys, for whatever reason, just aren't giving them enough, man. So I think that's a big problem with this team. And I got a Keon take that I want to share with you after that. But you agree, like there's not enough good young players on this football team, if you really think about it. It's not a young team.
No, it's not. And yeah, I mean, and it's been that way for even last year. Like, how was that draft class? Like, did that draft class help them last year? Not really. And I think
Cole Bishop.
Cole Bishop, but not last year. He didn't help. Like this year, he has.
Sure,
you know what I mean.
Yes,
but it's very hard for them to get like an impact guy. The youth hasn't been great. We've bitched about the drafts, and the top of the draft is not great, but like at the bottom, they usually do pretty well. Like in the fifth, and that's always the draft. This part of the draft where, oh hey, it's those guys tend to get a little bit more overrated because they came out of nowhere, whereas there's way more expectations for the top part of your draft board.
Sure.
For that. So
when you look at Keon Coleman, I feel like he's the poster child for what's wrong with the organization right now. Like we've been talking about. Well, is it Sean McDermott's fault? Or is it Brandon Beane's fault? This is where I think it's both their faults. Like when it comes to Keon Coleman, it's Brandon Beane's fault because they could have took Xavier Worthy. Instead, they traded down. Or they could have taken Lamb McConkey even after the trade down. They could have taken either of those guys, and they didn't. And in terms of his character issues, maturity issues that he's having, they clearly didn't do their homework. Like they're acting surprised about this, which surprises me. 3 times this has happened. He's missed a quarter. He's missed a drive, a quarter of a game, and now he's missed a full game. And they got benched for another one in part because of maturity issues. That's on the front office, in my opinion, drafting him to begin with. But then you look, like, why isn't he a better player on the field? Like, we see what he can do week 1 against Baltimore. Why does that rarely ever happen? To me, that's a Sean McDermott and a Joe Brady thing. Why can't they get anything from him? Why are they not using him the right way? Why are they not playing to whatever his strengths are? There's a part of me, Joe, that says, you know what? If Keon Coleman was a New England Patriot or an Indianapolis Colt or Kansas City Chief right now, I bet you he'd be a better football player than he is right now with the Buffalo Bills. That's not on Brandon Beane. That's on Sean McDermott and Joe Brady and the coaches. So,
well, yeah.
Go ahead.
I know. I was going to say, I think I go back to Tim Graham's piece he had over the summer where he talked about how, and I don't want to say he walked it back, but he got shit for it a little bit, or that the Bills organization wanted Josh Allen to be like a bigger leader. in the locker room. And then there was like pushback about that. Like Terry wanted it. And then that was what the pushback was like Terry wanted it. And I bring that up because I think they wanted Keon Coleman, because Keon Coleman, when he got here, he was a ham. He was a fun-loving guy, the Macy's jacket and all that crap. And I think they wanted they wanted Josh to be the alpha male, and they want people around him to not be at his level in terms of intensity, in terms of like passion. And I'm not knocking people who aren't anger or have passion. Like you can be cool as a cucumber and still be a damn good football player. But I think that's part of what they wanted with Keon Coleman. They were so pissed off at Stephon Diggs because, again, Diggs is a lunatic. Diggs is a guy who wants the best, angry. God forbid he shrugged his shoulders, and they wanted different guys in there who were going to placate to Josh and let Josh be the guy. And that's why if you want to sit there and go, well, this guy, he's meets in meetings and he's aloof a little bit. Well, like, I think they wanted kind of a more passive wide receiver room and a very more passive offense where guys were just there, like having fun, and that's sharing dick jokes and fart jokes and not enough intensity. And that's just my opinion. I think that's part of the reason why I think they liked Keon was he was chill. He is not.
He's too chill apparently because he don't show
but
up
I'm
to
saying,
meetings and shit.
Yeah, that's true. But he's not the type that's going to yell at you. Whereas, like, maybe other wide receivers in that draft class are going to yell at you and be like, throw me the fucking ball. And they didn't want that. And maybe they thought, oh, he's not going to demand that because he's chill and he's got a fucking Macy's coat. That's just my opinion. And I think they really wanted that sort of culture, is they wanted everyone to be chill. And I go back to that story of what Graham said about they wanted Josh to like be the man in terms of the leader and like taking people under his wing and all that sort of shit. And sometimes if you want a guy to be a leader, it's like too many chiefs, not enough Indians or whatever. You want one chief and you have all these Indians. A little bit like that slogan, whatever you want to call it. And maybe that's kind of what they wanted. And now it's backfiring if this guy's too lackadaisical and he's too chill, where he doesn't have that intensity. So
that's
anyways,
fair.
yeah.
Mike Carlisto, regular in the live chat, says, I'm late to the party. What did I miss besides Joe, Rooney, Pat's self-esteem? Well, you missed a lot of Buffalo Bills Hallmark movie holiday talk, which I'm sure.
Pat is too big of an egomaniac for me to destroy his self-esteem. I mean, I bust his balls every day, and if I was Pat, I would probably have disowned me a long time ago. But Pat's like, I'm still great. Podfather knows me, and I got Sal on speed dial. Who cares what you think? Anyways,
I'm starting to shift on how I feel about Keon Coleman. My to an extent, I'm frustrated that he's not more mature. Although, how am I to know that? How do I know that? You know what I mean? I'm frustrated that it's not working out with whatever it is, and I'm starting to wonder: is it Sean McDermott to an extent? I'm starting to feel more and more like Keon Coleman's just not a good fit stylistically for this team, and how much of that is really his fault? Like if he was a Dallas Cowboy, I just feel like he'd be a better player. And I'm starting to wonder more and more and more that no matter what they do against certain teams, that it just doesn't matter. If it was Keon Coleman, if it was Ladd McConkey, would Ladd McConkey be Ladd McConkey if he was a Buffalo Bill? Would Xavier Worthy be anything more than Elijah Moore or Curtis Samuel if he was a Buffalo Bill in this offense? You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to say, I thought, Keon Coleman feels like a guy who will be out of the league in 3 years to me at times. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, you know what? Let him go on another team, in another system, another situation. Maybe he thrives. Because we've seen good Keon before. We've seen big plays. We've seen at least a small handful of big games from him. And for him to be this ineffective for this long, and then to miss meetings, and then to get benched, and then to not play on Thursday nights. Again, when Dalton Kincaid's out, and just Kincaid or Shakir missed time this week, personal reasons, it just felt like the right time to put him back in. They went to Elijah Moore. They got nothing from him. I don't know. The beef just feels like it's a lot more than Keon showed up late to a meeting 2 Fridays ago. The fact that he didn't play in this game either. I don't know, man. Something stinks.
Well, I don't know if I would agree he's a good player. Like he's out of position and he needs to grow somewhere else. I haven't seen much, but he had that good game against Baltimore, and then I don't know. I tend to think, because the wide receivers are so bad here that if you have you and I have been arguing about, I always make fun of you about Palmer. Palmer has like a 50-yard catch and you're drooling over him, and I'm just like, anytime a wide receiver in this offense does anything for a day, it's like, oh my God, he's got potential.
Tyrell Shavers against Tampa.
Yeah, and it's like, no, they're just not good enough. None of these guys are good. I would
They
trade
were
our entire
Thursday. Oh
I
my God.
I would trade the entire wide receiver core for one star. I would trade all the wide receivers on the Bills roster for AJ Brown and just start over again. I know it's not gonna happen, but I'm just saying, I'm just they just like all these mid guys, and I'm just like, no one likes them. So I don't know. I don't feel if Keon goes to another team, he's going to be great.
I don't think he's going to be great. I just think
good. I don't know. No, there wasn't that much love for him coming out of college, but who knows? I don't know.
I didn't. I didn't like the pick when he came here.
The one thing is, look, he might be better as a slot guy. That's the only thing I can think of X's and O's wise. He would be better as a slot guy. But
is it hyperbole when you hear fans say, let's say they got Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's probably a top 10 receiver in the NFL.
He's the man.
And if the Bills got him, there's people who would say, well, he wouldn't do anything here because of Joe Brady. Do you believe that? Do you think that's too much criticism against Joe Brady, or do you genuinely believe that it wouldn't matter if it was Jalen Waddle or Brian Thomas Jr., two guys who were rumored to be that the Bills tried to trade for? Would it have mattered much if they got either of those guys with the way this offense feels constructed at times?
It's possible. I mean, Joe Brady loves to bring everyone on the field. Everyone has to have a snap on the offense. And let's go back to when Stephon Diggs was here, and he was the most talented guy, and his production wasn't very good. And I can understand someone's like, hey, well, I mean, would I still do it? Absolutely, I would still do it. But yeah, look, Amari Cooper had one good game, and he was a guy who was awesome the year. I know he's out of the league, but the year before with Cleveland, Amari Cooper was awesome. He saved me a fantasy football title because he was so awesome a few different times, and no one got him on waivers. And he was great, and he gets here, and the only thing we can say was, I've talked about it, was he helped other guys get open. When he got here, they were scoring 30 a game, but it's possible. I mean, what resume does Joe Brady have before he got here? He was the OC in Carolina. It was a shitty offense. Curtis Samuel had 800 yards. Congratulations. I know he was the passing coordinator at LSU with Burrow was there, right? I mean, that's college. Yeah. I mean, look, what's his face? Dable was great in college, and, he was a great OC with the Bills, but I don't know. If this keeps up, they need to do an overhaul, on the offense. I was thinking about this weekend with you talking, when we last spoke, you were like, is Joe Brady, should Joe Brady be gone at the end of this year? And you said yes, and I was like, I don't know. And I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, yeah, he should be gone unless they turn it around.
On it. He didn't win the Super Bowl. I think he'd be gone.
Well, look, I'm just going to say this. Whoever they bring in as coordinators, because I think Babbage might be gone too, I would like them to just bring some outside voices. None of this Carolina blue bullshit. We got to promote some fucking guy from their old days or who played for them. Get a recycled head coach. You know what I mean? I don't know who, to be the coordinator. Do what the Eagles did last year where they brought in Fangio and they brought in Kellen Moore, who were established cool things. So
sometimes the comments on the
video
site.
You never listen to me. Always read the comments when I'm talking. That's how it is. I know you're supposed to feel the crowd in wrestling. You don't have to do that on a podcast.
I bitch to you all the time. I'm like, listen, we cater too much to the video side.
And then you just don't care. I just hate you.
For people listening, so at Tori71, just in the middle of Joe's rant, Joe was on, he was actually 100% right. He said,
you don't even remember what I just said.
Brady,
okay,
Brady is a cooch.
Shoot, what's a cooch?
Brady's a coochie.
Coochie mama? Okay.
Listen, I think Joe Brady, I think teams have figured him out. Last year, the offense worked. You always figure it out, and you got to evolve, and they're not. Watching that Houston tape, because we did our show live right after the game. The next day, watching the tape, it was horrifying. Houston knew everything the Bills were going to do. Everything the Bills were going to do. They were pretty much, those DBs and linebackers were running the routes for the Bills. There were
Yeah.
so many times where nobody was open. Now, I'm not going to say 100% of the times, but there was a lot where just literally nobody was open. Kind of leading into my next point. What's your confidence level with Josh Allen right now to get back to playing his best? Because I don't think this is going to change. The personnel's not going to change. I don't think Joe Brady's radically going to change right now. Josh Allen has to find a way to not make the mistakes he's making right now. Like that first interception he threw Thursday night, he had Cook and he had Gabe Davis. Either or, take your pick, wide open, 6-7 yards. There's a first down play. He tries to force it 15 yards down the field, interception. We're seeing that a lot more with Josh Allen. They become a turnover machine. Do you have confidence that Josh Allen's going to be able to dial it back, or maybe not necessarily dial it back, just make less mistakes right now? Is his confidence shot? Is his confidence in his teammates shot? What can we expect from Josh Allen the rest of the way right now? They're not a good road team anymore.
I have confidence. I would not bet against Josh Allen yet. Okay? Like, what's the difference between the offense from last year to this year, personnel-wise? It's not that much different.
Very little.
Very little. Okay, and I'm not here to sit there and like say like, yes, they look like shit. Okay, they're weird. Okay, they're super weird right now. Okay, last week at this time they scored 1 billion points against the Bucks. Josh had 6,000 touchdowns. 4 days later against a really good defense. Let's give the Texans their credit. They were freaking. They killed them. They killed them.
Yes.
They got their butts handed to them. But I wouldn't bet against them. Look, they're 7-4 right now. I know they're 3-4 in the last 7 games. Crazy enough, and I saw this on Twitter or X or whatever. They beat Mahomes, they beat Baker Mayfield, they beat Lamar Jackson, but they lost to freaking Davis Mills III or whatever the hell his name is, and then Tua, and then there was another shitty quarterback. Oh, Michael Penix. He's not shitty, but there's a
very,
big,
very mid.
Yeah, there's a big giant difference between those two, so it's hard for me to tell. Nothing would surprise me right now if the Bills went on a run and they went to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be shocked. I'll even say this. Call it a hot take. I bet if the Bills were the wild card team and they went to Indy or they even went to New England, I wouldn't be shocked if they were the favorites, to be honest with you. And if the Chiefs make it to the playoffs somehow, I wouldn't be shocked if they're the favorites in the wild card against any of these division teams. I'm sorry, maybe Baltimore. Baltimore's the one, but Baltimore, they're kind of scary if they win the division. But that's the thing. I'm not. It's what gives me hope is Josh Allen's still Josh Allen, and the league is still the league, which is meh in the AFC. That's the only thing I got, in terms of, hey, hang on to this. Could they turn it around? Yeah, they scored 44 points last week, a week ago. Of course they can turn it. They can get some points. I mean, look, right now I have lowered my expectations for the regular season, where I'm just the division's dead. We all know that. Just get the hell in, okay? Get in, and then hopefully, I don't know, the league starts paying off refs. I don't know, just get in. That's where I'm at right now.
Let me. Do you agree with this?
No.
I told my wife this. Let me know if you agree. I said if you take the Bills 1 through 52, and Sean McDermott's the coach, and instead of Josh Allen, this team this year, this coach, this staff, instead of Josh Allen from week 1 till now, or through the whole season, if Trevor, I'm not going to say a bum. I'm not going to say Davis Mills or anyone like that. I'm going to say if Trevor Lawrence or Geno Smith, 2 guys who I think are average to above average quarterbacks, not stars, but not bums either. If one of those 2 guys, Trevor Lawrence or Geno Smith, were the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, this year's team, this year's roster, staff, everything, this is a 7-10 team. That was my take. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
This is Josh Allen's team. It's Josh and James Cook. That's it. I mean, and then you got some help on the defense here and there. But
some people in the live chat think Geno Smith's a bum. I don't think he's a bum.
I mean, I'm just going to say this. There's this. I want to see what happens if they lose one of these next couple of games.
We're going to get into that.
Okay, and I'm getting into it now because I don't care. Because I feel like if they start going on a bigger losing skid, there's going to be some infighting. There's going to be some leaks, and and someone's got to put the Ty Dunn bat signal up for him to start digging around and
That
seeing
shit should have
what
went up already, man.
yeah, like, and see what happens. Because I do wonder if there's some stuff going on, because like I keep telling you, like, I don't know how much the Sean McDermott picking the players versus Brandon Bean picking the players, etc., and how unhappy one of them is. I definitely think there is a little tension there, in terms of stuff. At least I've heard some people within the know say that there's a little bit of back and forth there, but I'm curious what's going to happen if it goes down. But nothing would shock me. Nothing would shock me right now. They can run the table or they can get killed. That's it.
I can't figure out this team. This team, if it's one or two things, either A, they're just straight up not a good road team anymore. I mean, they've lost in Atlanta, they lost to Miami, they lost to Houston, 3 games that they were favored in. So is this team just straight up not a good road team anymore? Or, and this is what I tend to believe more, and I don't know why, or I do know why, it just happens. I don't know why it keeps happening. Every time you get down on this team, every time the media starts to shit on this team, every time they start to get questioned, every time you see Stephen A. Smith on ESPN or Ryan Clark or whoever start to say the Bills' window's closed, they're done, they come out and they do something great to make you realize, no, they're not. Like, they beat Kansas City. They beat Tampa. They play really well at times. They go to Carolina, backup quarterback or not, and they slaughter them. It's when they start to believe that they're a good team. You know what I mean? They start to get too high on themselves. They go and they lay eggs. They've done it many times when they're favored. When everyone expects them to do well, they don't. It's always been, the last couple of years mainly. It's like when people shit on this team and they get a chip on their shoulder, that's when they're the best. Josh Allen last year was overrated going into the season. He was the most overrated player in the NFL. You remember that poll where they said he was the most overrated player in the NFL? Well, he wins an MVP. Chip on his shoulder. This team plays well when it seems like they got a chip on their shoulder. That's why if they can get to the playoffs, even if they're the 6th or 7th seed, I'm like, I wouldn't count them out because of that. But is it that? Or again, they go on the road and they're not comfortable on the road anymore and they just play like shit. I mean, it's happened 3 fucking times. 3 straight times to 3 really bad teams, man.
Well, I don't think the Houston's a bad team. Like, come on.
Well, they're a bad offense. I mean, that offense is terrible. Terrible.
Well,
terrible.
Hey, yeah. Well, they have 100.
They don't do anything good. They don't do anything good on offense. Nothing.
You know what? I wish the Bills would have signed Devontae Adams this offseason. He's been lighting it up with the Rams. They needed him. And they said they fucking went with your boy Mega Bowl.
Stafford probably wins MVP if the vote was tomorrow.
Let me just say this. I have thought about this, and it's not going to happen. But, like, let's just say they fired McDermott for whatever reason. Give me the OC of the Rams. I know it's Sean McVay's offense, but the OC, but like Stafford has been like lights out this year, and he was kind of like, the last couple of years. I thought like he was okay. He's been awesome, and I think I looked this up. I think the OC is Matt LaFleur's brother, and like because if in a fantasy world they did fire him, and you're asking me like, and I'm not saying they should fire him, but if they did. Like, what would I do? I would be like, go to the Rams. Like, the Rams are the organization you want. Everyone in that tree is awesome from the Sean McVay coaching tree. And it's like, go to that team and get someone. They need someone like that. Someone told me today, that brings it up. Because I told you this, you and I are old, or you're older than me. But, like, it feels like we're in a little bit of the John Elway, Dan Reeves era with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. Where it's just like, and you remember that, like they went to the Super Bowl, obviously, and you kind of wish we did that. But it was one of those things where like John Elway did everything on his own. He didn't have any supporting cast. They put everything in their defense. Like they had all-stars in their defense and nothing. Like he's throwing the fucking Vance Johnson, and then like and he kind of pushed out Dan Reeves a little bit. But Dan Reeves, they went to the AFC title game in '91. Next year they were bad, and then he got fired. The next year he was gone. And it's just like, I feel like we're a little bit in that. And then, like, Shanahan saved John Elway, basically, by giving him Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey. And they built an offense around him instead of it being like, and it just kind of, it feels like we're in that sort of era right now where it's like the Dan Reeves, like, the Dan Reeves, John Elway thing right now, where it's just kind of like, yeah, you're knocking on the door, you're getting the title games, like, and all that sort of stuff. But
Well,
I
they
don't
got the
know.
3 Super Bowls. So,
They did,
your
but they got
principle's right. I know what you're
but they
saying.
got to like 2 AFC championships against the Bills, where the Broncos got to 3. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? They
Yeah.
were very close, and you can make the issue with if you want to split hairs. That AFC during that time frame was not very good in the late 80s. It was terrible. Whereas this one, it's Mahomes in his goddamn prime, and that's in their fucking way. So, anyways, go
yeah,
on.
I'm waiting. I'm willing to wait until January to see what the Bills do before I close the book on McDermott. But I'll say this: I think they can miss the playoffs, and he's not getting fired. They can miss the playoffs. They can go 8-9 and miss the playoffs, or 9-8, whatever. I think they can miss the playoffs, and he's not getting fired. I don't think Brandon Beane's getting fired. The success, the long-term success of this team, they'll blame injuries. They, meaning Terry Bagula and the closest to him, they'll cite injuries and other factors, and they'll get another chance. New stadium opening. They're not firing McDermott. They're not firing Brandon Beane. You know what? This Sunday, by the way, today, if you were hate watching, I wasn't. I was watching Christmas movies most of the day, but this was a shit day for the Buffalo Bills. New England wins. Baltimore wins. I personally, a lot of people disagree, but I thought Pittsburgh winning would be good for the Bills because I want them to win the North. They lost. Kansas City came back from 2 scores down to beat the Colts. They're not dead. They won. Jacksonville won. If the playoffs started right now, Joe, if this was week 18 and the regular season just ended and the Bills beat the Jets and got in the playoffs in week 18, and you and I were doing a live show here on a Sunday night, we'd be talking about the 7-seed Bills traveling to the number 2 Denver Broncos in the wild card round.
And that's what I mean. Like, who would
week.
be the favorite? Who would be the favorite
Denver.
in that?
Denver by a field goal. It'd be close though.
It'll be close
I
though.
get what
but
you're
like,
saying.
yeah, like it would be like you'd bet the Bills probably, maybe, you know, in terms of, yeah, but it's just.
Here's my point though. The Bills are the 7th seed right now.
Yeah.
The playoffs, the Bills' path to the playoffs, while the percentage says they're still quite likely to get in, I don't think it's as automatic as people think it is. Let's put it this way. You need 10, let's just say if you get 10 wins, you're getting in. You're almost certainly getting in, right? So if you get 10, you're in. The Bills are 7-4 right now. And I'm going to give them the Jets week 18 at home. I'm going to give that to the Bills. That's 8 wins, okay? You have 5 other games. You need to win 2 to get to 10. You got Cincinnati at home, and that's going to be a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Cincinnati Bengals team. Probably Henderson back, too. It's a different team. So you got Cincy at home, albeit, but it's Cincinnati, and you got Philadelphia at home, okay? And then you got 3 road games. At Pittsburgh next week, Aaron Rodgers is expected to play. Mike Tomlin said that on Sunday. So you're at Pittsburgh. You're at New England, who's a better team than you right now. And you're at Cleveland on the road, who's kind of like Houston. Offense kind of blows. Defense is ferocious. You got to win 2 of those games. Cincy, Philly, Pittsburgh, New England, Cleveland. If your goal is to get to 10, you got to win 2 of those 5 if you're giving them the Jets. Is that open and shut to you? Getting 2 of those 5 against those teams? Does that feel open and shut to you? Because 9 wins, you're probably looking at tiebreaker scenarios of what other teams might do.
I think they get to 10 wins. I do. I think they could beat Cleveland. I think they could beat Pittsburgh and the Jets. So there you go. That gets them to 10. And
so this Pittsburgh game this coming week is a big game now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, every game is huge right now. Like you're trying to get momentum. I hate to say momentum, but you want the vibes back a little bit. The Pittsburgh game will be interesting, you know, in terms of like the Steelers' defense has been better, I guess, as of late. I mean, they were pretty dormant in the beginning of the season. Who knows what happens
if the Bills lose to Pittsburgh next Sunday? They will be. Because they're the 7th seed now. Pittsburgh is 6-5, so they're 1 game behind. No matter how else the league plays out next week, if the Bills lose to Pittsburgh, they would be out of the playoffs. When you and I do our live show, which, by the way, we agree we're going to do our show after the games this next week.
Oh, I didn't know you agreed, but yeah, I'll do it.
If you'd rather.
Yeah.
All right, so for everyone
let's try it. I mean, let's just do it.
We're going to go live right after the game next Sunday. So at around 4:30 or so, when Joe and I go live next Sunday, if Pittsburgh beats the Bills would be out of the playoffs, no matter who does what around the league. The Bills would be out of the playoffs.
I may have to get back to you on that. Let me don't promise that yet because we have family in town. Don't promise that yet.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, when we do our next show, we're doing a show Sunday post game at some point. My
yeah,
whole point is
we'll be here.
the
Yeah,
Bills
go
would
ahead.
be out of the playoffs if they lose to Pittsburgh next week. The Bills would be at best an 8 seed after Sunday. At best an 8 seed.
Yeah,
So we could be talking a scenario next week where the Bills would be missing the playoffs if they lose this game next week. Now,
You
if they
really
win,
let me ask
it's a big win, but yes.
if they miss the playoffs,
Yeah.
you don't think Brandon Bean and Sean McDermott are getting fired?
No.
No.
Nope.
You don't think
I think
could you think one of them gets fired? Could you see there being a breakup? Could you see like I can't work with this guy anymore kind of
no, but if you're going to force me to play the game, I would say Brandon Bean would be the more likely to get fired of the two between him and McDermott. If it was a power struggle, or if Terry said, listen, we're going to a new stadium, Josh is pissed, we got to get everything, we got to figure some shit out, we got to make some changes. I think Brady's gone. I've already said that's a foregone conclusion no matter what. But if you're forcing me to say one of those two guys or both of them would be gone, I would say Brandon Bean. If there has to be one, I think it's Brandon Bean who falls on the sword before McDermott. McDermott's not going anywhere. I'd be stunned if Sean McDermott goes anywhere. Do you, you don't agree?
No, I mean, I would be stunned too. I'm just trying to think of like, I think back a little bit with Terry. Like, look, we know like he hasn't fired anyone from the Sabres, and he waits till the last like possible minute when their contracts are up, and then he lets them go, kind of thing. It's with them. But obviously, I think money's different. The money, he has so much money with the Bills, like he's making more, but he can pay people to sit at home.
That's a good comment.
Oh, Slick Rick will be the scapegoat. Of course, Slick Rick will be the scapegoat. Very good, Ralph Wilson. All these comments are too good. They distract Pat when I'm about to make a great point.
Go ahead, make a great point.
Okay, I'm going to make a great point. I go back to the Sabres when they fired Lindy and they fired Darcy. Mm-hmm. Allegedly, look, Lindy Ruff had a lot of carte blanche. Okay, Lindy ain't going anywhere. This is like 15 years ago. A lot. Yeah. And you can make the case that he had more of a better resume than McDermott, maybe, in terms of, hey, like, division titles, gone to the Super Bowl, or gone to the Stanley Cup Finals, blah, blah, blah. The rumor is that Ted Black and, like, the Pittsburgh guys that Terry brought in, like, pushed Terry to fire Lindy. Like, it wasn't Terry, didn't want to do it. They told him, you should fire him. And then, allegedly, when Darcy got canned a year later, they brought him back. It was his wife that said, hey, you need to, because they're booing the shit out of us. Yeah. There is no other person, unless you want to bring up. There's no one. It is Terry's ship right now. Unless you want to put Laura Pagula. I don't know what the fuck she does, but like, there is no other person that has his ear to say you should fire the GM and coach. Like, I don't know of. Like, he doesn't, like, I don't know of. That's the difference when you had a guy resumes, because you go back to when they fired Rex and Whaley. It was only after 2 years they took over the team. Like with Rex, I mean, Rex, they paid a bunch, and then they fired him after 2 years when they went 7-9 because it was a disaster, and they were like, "Oh, we're done," because they didn't like how he managed things. I think more on the inside than he managed stuff on the outside. So I don't know. I want to keep saying like I would be shocked, but I wouldn't put it out of reach. But it's going to be up to Terry or someone. We'll see what happens. Or Josh. Josh goes in and says, "I hate all these people. Fire everyone."
That could be the one exception. I want to address a comment in here because I want to make sure that I'm clear here, so it's what I'm saying is not taken wrong. Matt C6641 in our live chatter on the video side, he says, "Pat, that's wild. Do you hear yourself? We lose out with Josh fucking Allen and miss the playoffs, and the Pats win. Nobody gets fired. I surely hope that's true." I want to be clear. If the Bills were to miss the playoffs, I think Sean McDermott and or Brandon Bean should be fired. Should be fired and getting fired are not the same thing. I don't think they're going to make a change for two reasons. Number one, like I said, I think it would be chalked off to injuries and other factors, and they're going to a new stadium. I've already talked about that. The other one is I think Terry Pagula is a little scared shitless of the disaster that has been the Buffalo Sabres and all the guys he's hired and fired over the last 7 or 8 years. He likes that stability and continuity with the Bills, and it would be easy for him. And to be fair, he wouldn't automatically be completely wrong to say, you know what, it's just a bad season. We've been in the mix now 6-7 straight years. Things didn't work out our way for a variety of reasons this year. I'm going to run it back with these guys going into the new stadium. I think part of what's happened with the Sabres might be a detriment to him wanting to make change because he might be afraid that, well, shit, now here we go. Every 2-3 years, am I going to be looking for a new GM, a new coach? So I don't think, I'm predicting they're not going to. I'm not saying that I don't think that they should. And I just want to make, because there's a big difference between what I personally think and what I think should happen. You did say something, and I agree with this. Josh Allen could be the wild card. If Josh Allen gets frustrated to the point that he goes to Terry Bagula and says, listen, man, this has got to change. I can't do this. I can't win. Make a change. Or I might start thinking about a trade in a year or two. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That could change the game. That might make a change. Going back to the playoffs, though, I want to go back to that Pittsburgh game if they lose. Again, Pittsburgh would be tied with them and ahead on the tiebreaker. I'm looking up right now. Houston's only one game back, and they beat the Bills in a tiebreaker. Now they play at Indy. Kansas City is one game back. The Bills own a tiebreaker, but you know what? Kansas City plays Dallas this week, or Thanksgiving Day, by the way. Bills lose, Kansas City wins. Bam, they're tied. So, God, it's just these next 2 weeks are big.
You cannot just assume they're making the playoffs. I think it's the bottom line.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes, that it took you about 7 hours to get there. But yes, that is the bottom line. If you're a fan, I know you are a fan, everyone who's listening. But yeah, that's it. Okay, so look, we're at 80 minutes. Why don't we take some comments from the peanut guy? Do we have more?
I've been reading them. I've been throwing them up and reading them. They're pretty much on par with what we're talking about.
Well, if anyone has questions for us, okay, the last 9 minutes of the show is my time. If anyone has questions for us in this podcast, please ask them. Go ahead.
Matt said, I get it, but doesn't that not alarm you as a fan? We're basically saying we know it's not working, but we're just going to keep pretending it does. That's not ever going to get us to a Super Bowl. Sure, it's alarming. I mean, I'll let you take this too, but I'm very concerned right now that what everybody else thinks. The prime years of Josh Allen are kind of feeling wasted. Joe, does this feel like this would be a legitimate wasted year?
Well, yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, it's a wasted year. But I don't want to say they've wasted his. Like, look, they've won the division 5 years in a row. I don't want to say it's wasted. I think they're wasting how their roster construction sucks. Okay, that's the bottom line. They're not wasting it. Like they've gone like to the title game. A lot of teams would want that. Blah blah blah. The issue is, if you want me to sit there and go, like, if they don't make the playoffs, what changes do I want? Yeah, they want to fire everyone, great. But, like, if you want me to make the change I want the most is they need to change how they're building teams. They need to stop with this 75 defensive line rotation of doom. They need to go and invest in offensive skill guys. That's how you win in this league. And, like, figure that shit out. Stop with the fucking defense. Stop with the fucking film. Stop with that shit, okay? Like,
when you watch Houston, Joe, when you watch Houston do what they did to the Bills, and you think of the Bills and what they've spent money-wise, draft capital-wise on their defensive line over the last 3-4 years, that's what you wanted, right? That's what you were hoping the Bills would at least resemble. I mean, Houston's an exception. They're literally the best. But a good, solid front seven that just will impact games. That's what you wanted. And the Bills, Ed Oliver's not in there, but for the most part, they've been healthy, or at least most of their starters have been out there. Rizzo's been out there all year. Bosa's been out there all year. DeQuad's been out there for a good chunk of the year. Milano, they're not getting it done. That's balls on Brady.
I think, yeah, I mean, and it does. I mean, but again, like, how much is McDermott saying? Like, McDermott could go in there and go, I don't want Matt Milano anymore. I was done with Matt Milano last year, to be honest with you. I was like, dude, this dude is 2 straight years of when he's gotten hurt. He's on the wrong side of it. A coach can go into the GM's office and be like, I don't want this guy. Like, and I don't think the GM's going to say, screw you, you're getting him. So, like, yeah, you're right. The roster construction has been really bad. But again, they keep bringing back old people that either Sean likes them or they're like, because there is way too many old people who had ties here coming back. We talked about this in the opening of the show. There are way too many guys, way too many. I can't think of like the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I mean, what, they brought Kareem Hunt back? That's it. Like, there's like 20 on this roster that are coming back for a freaking revenge tour or whatever, or an old folks tour. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, I don't think of any other teams that have done that. But there is. Let me ask you this real quick: are the Bills? And I said this. This must have been. This could have been like the feels day on Friday morning, like being just annoyed at the Bills. I tweeted out the Bills are not going to win a Super Bowl with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. I tweeted that, or I posted on Blue Sky. Do you agree with that? Are the Bills going to win a Super Bowl with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane?
Man, it's easy to start downing it. I'm not ready to say they're not, but it's easy to doubt it. Could this be if your goal is to win a Super Bowl, your only goal is to win a Super Bowl, and you come close a handful of times, and then you come across a year like this where I think they get in the playoffs, but let's just say they get bounced in the wild card round or the divisional round. Who gives a shit? Either way would be a step back from last year if they don't get to the championship game. This could be because of the failure this year. This could be the year where Brandon Beane says, I got no choice. I got to go out and get a Jalen Waddle, and I got to go out and get a stud in the defensive line. I have to do things differently. So failing this year might lead potentially to getting it right in the long run because
I just don't think they're going to. I really don't. And I think, and I'll put my balls on the table here and just say, like, I just think they want to win this that like I talked about. They want to win 20-24. They want to invest way too much in the defense. I don't think they want Josh Allen to throw the ball as much as I want them to.
I don't hate that.
Why
I hate
don't you
that it's
hate
not
that?
working. They're not getting the right guys. Give me 80% of Houston's defense, and we'll win a Super Bowl 3 out of 4 years.
Oh my God, dude! What about the Chiefs? The Chiefs didn't have a dominant defense. Like, they had a good offense with some decent skill guys. Like,
They've
come
been
on.
good on defense. They've been really good.
Okay. I'm not going to say like they're over the top good. I don't know, man. I think balance is not the key. I think that you want to put everything around the best players you have, and the best player is Josh fucking Allen. And that's what they have to do in the offseason. They cannot pull this bullshit of, well, you know what? We need another linebacker. We need another edge rusher. We need another safety. We need another cornerback. Oh my God, wait, we need like at least 7 defensive linemen. No, they've done that.
If the report was true that they could have had Jalen Waddle if they would have given up this year's first, but Brandon Beane insisted on next year's because he didn't want to not have a first and a third pick in this year's draft. If that is true, that's a fireable offense to Brandon Beane. Because number one, not only is the offense better, think about this. If you had Jalen Waddle, I'll give you a take. I've been waiting all episode to have a good one. Here's a good one. If the Bills traded for Jalen Waddle the 2 minutes before the trade deadline on that Tuesday, like they should have, apparently, if that's true, they're not losing to Miami that week because, for starters, Jalen Waddle's playing for the Bills and not Miami. And Jalen Waddle cooked. He cooked Max Saracen a couple times, so that's not happening, right? Bills win that game. I could confidently say that. And I think if they had Jalen Waddle against Houston, the offense looks a little different. Maybe they beat a shitty Houston offense on the road. This might be a team that's 9-2 right now instead of 7-4 if Brandon Beane makes that trade. Not to mention they got a star receiver and they're going to be better down the road. I think potentially if it's true that first rounder was the reason why they didn't get this done because Brandon Beane didn't want to have shitty cap situation this offseason and not have a first or third round pick. If that was his fear and that's true, I think he cost the Bills a chance to get to a Super Bowl by doing that.
That's the other thing too. Like Brandon Beane, and you're right on that. But that's the other thing too. Brandon Beane's fucked up the cap, and because he wants to extend everyone that shows a glimmer of hope. They should never have extended Dawson Knox. He had one decent year, and he gave him a fucking big fat fucking contract. Terrell Bernard, one decent year, one really good year, and then he was like, "We got to extend him," and he's fucking Kiko Alonso, who gets hurt all the time now. Like, they have destroyed this cap. And you know what he'll say, too, because that dude comes up with all these excuses. He'll blame Josh Allen's contract. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh, Josh Allen's contract was too much. That's what happened. No, buttfucker, motherfucker. It's because this is what happens when the pie goes to you. You start saying bad things. But no, it went bad because you were extending everyone who was okay instead of being like, hey, you know what? You could have just been like, you know what? We're not going to extend Shakir, and we're not going to extend Bernard. I know that sounds crazy, But then you could have been like, we're not going to extend you because we're going to go out and get a better free agent option, or we're going to trade for someone that's better and, has more money or whatever. Like the Stephon Diggs trade, we'll just say. We'll pull that out of my ass.
I think it's a gamble to extend somebody early. Like you look at Spencer Brown, that paid off. And I think Bean wants to keep hitting that. But the problem is for every Spencer Brown, there's 3 or 4 Dawson Knoxes. If that makes sense.
You're right. I mean, I would just, unless to me, you should have like a rule of, I don't know what the fuck the rule is. Maybe it's just like, look, if your guy makes a Pro Bowl or is like in the top 10, maybe at that position, then you go and get it done. And I don't think you can say Greg Rousseau's a top 10 defensive end in this league. Right?
I don't think he's a top 20 defensive end.
Exactly. And they had to go and run and get this done quick. I don't think Christian Benford's a top 10 cornerback. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know. Like, you follow the league more than I do, but like, I think that's what I think.
I don't hate his deal. I still don't hate his deal. I think $19 million for him is fair. But
all right.
Greg Rousseau, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Do we have questions we can answer? I saw you starring them, or did you not? You don't care because you just can't multitask.
Well, you're also more than welcome to just read something if you see it instead of me having to put it on the screen. And
bro, I don't have my glasses.
You complain that I'm not paying attention to you with your takes, but yet I'm trying to get questions.
No, because you're trying to get your shit in. That's why you're Hogan over here. You gotta get your leg drop in and feed the crowd. Oh,
let me ask you this question. This is for something for everybody who's still listening to the show, though. No matter how you're consuming it to chew on.
Someone had a good question for you. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Well, if you can find it, you could say that.
No, I'll say it. I think it was Kalisto asked, like, what's the worst Brandon Bean extension? I'm cutting you off. What's the worst? That is it.
He did ask that. What is the worst Brandon Bean extension? I think you might be headed towards the one we just got last offseason at this rate. Greg Rousseau.
Greg Rousseau. Oh, you say Rousseau. Okay. I'll say
$20 million for 3 sacks, bro. Shaq Lawson can give you 3 sacks for $2 million.
Well, he doesn't have Ed. He doesn't have another guy. I think it's Bernard.
Bullshit.
Bernard. Bernard. It's Bernard. It's Bernard. It's Bernard. Bernard got hurt last year. Here's the thing. I'll say this. In fairness to Rousseau, defensive linemen are harder to find. Okay, they are harder to find. Linebackers are not. You can find linebackers in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 7th, the 10th round. Okay, those guys you can find anywhere. And he said was like, well, we got to extend Bernard because he was a middle round pick and Pat hated him. Anyway, and Tyler Bass, Alex Barber has in the chat that you're not going to think. Yes.
Sanjay Christopher 8283. Would the Bills sign Pickens this offseason? Let me say this. First of all, he's going to get paid. He is tearing it up with Dallas.
They should have traded for him.
Pittsburgh would love to have him back right now, I am sure. But anyway, would the Bills sign him? It's going to cost a lot of money. Here's the thing. If you thought Stephon Diggs had some diva attitude issues, welcome to the world of George Pickens because he's 20 times worse. But he is an elite talent receiver. Would Brandon Bean, I'm asking you this, Joe, would Brandon Bean say, you know what, fuck the character stuff. We better go get somebody who could just do ridiculous things on the football field because that's who he is.
I've told you I'm all about Team Dick. Okay, if we have to get dickheads in this team,
he's one of them.
Yes, get him on here. But I told you that I think part of the reason why they drafted Keon was they liked Keon and his aloof, kind of fun-loving guy thing, and that's what they want. And I think that can only get you far. You need some dickheads out there. So, yes, I would sign Pickens. I trade for A.J. Brown. I trade for Waddle. Who else is available? I trade for Sam Laporta. What the hell is he doing? And let's get him here, too. I trade Dalton Kincaid for someone, too. I would trade every skill player besides James Cook off this roster and clean it. And I trade Spencer Brown, too. I know you love him. I trade him, too. Because you know what? You need offensive weapons on this team. You just need them desperately.
You don't need blockers?
Nope, don't need blockers. You find blockers somewhere else. Hey, Spencer Brown was a 3rd rounder. You can find another 3rd rounder. He started from day one. Find someone else.
And by the way,
Jordan Mills. I don't give a fuck. Okay, give me some skill.
The contract question, it's Dawson Knox. It's got to be Dawson Knox. 4-year, $52 million with 31 guaranteed for a tight end who had 1 productive season. Terrible. That's terrible.
Well, you know what? It's also their fault because, at times I think this roster construction is on the offense. It's like a Frankenstein. What's allegedly like Ken Dorsey wanted to have a 2 tight end offense. And it's like, okay, great. You get Dalton Kincaid after you just extend Dawson Knox and your 2 tight end offenses hasn't been great. Like it's not Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski from like 10 years ago where they're both getting a bunch of catches, and then he gets fired, and then you got this guy comes in. And then it's like, you also had Stephon Diggs, who was on a wrong offense because we have to do the stupid wide receiver screen. Stephon Diggs isn't a wide receiver screen guy. So like that's it. Yeah. I mean, look, Dawson Knox sucks. I hated Dawson Knox from day one. But he was good.
Jackson Hawes is as good or better than him right now today, and he's probably about a $900,000 a year player right now.
He Dawson Knox was good. At least Dawson Knox was good in the touchdown movie last night or whatever the fuck. I'll give him credit for that.
I got two more questions for you. One legit question and one a comment from earlier in the show. Going back to the movie, we'll circle back that at the end. But here's my one. Look, we can sit here forever and say, well, who's the reason? Brandon Beane, should they fire him? Should they fire Sean McDermott? What are they going to do in the offseason if they don't make the playoffs or they get bounced early? Yada, yada, yada. Are they going to make the playoffs? Realistically, what can this team do? And let's keep this short because we're already way late on the show. But realistically, Joe, over these last 5-6 games and into January, what could this team do to be better? What could this team do to win the AFC? Because one thing I think you and I, and you've said this throughout the show, and I agree with you 100%, the AFC is wide open. The Colts lost today. New England won, but people still don't believe in it. Plus, their left tackle got carted out. He might be done for the season, their first overall pick. That's a big blow to them. Their guard got hurt. So New England paid a heavy price today. Denver, they got Bo Nix at quarterback. He's no world beater. Baltimore looks beatable. The Bills obviously are beatable. There's a wide open AFC. What can the Bills do differently right now to realistically to win this AFC? Because they're not out of it. They're not out of it. They can get to a Super Bowl just because of the reasons I just said. There's no dominant team, including Kansas City, that's just so much better than everyone else. Like, what do they got to do? What can they do?
For this year.
For this year. Get healthy? I mean.
Get healthy. I don't even know. Sorry, I don't have any. Look, just let Josh Allen cook and, get James Cook in space. And I don't know. I don't know what they can do.
To me, get turn. You gotta start winning the turnover battles like you used to all the time last year.
Oh God, the turnovers.
They're getting fucking. Well, it's no coincidence. They're getting murdered in the turnover battle now. That to me is a big difference.
Dude, they could have easily won last week, even with the turnovers. They could have won last week.
Okay, but they didn't. They didn't because they turned the ball over 3 times. Okay, so find a way to start getting turnovers and not turning the ball over. That is the one thing I think realistically they could do this season before it's over to get back in. I want to pull up a comment going back to earlier because I thought this was funny. Orville716 said, some cameos I wish were in the movie. Stevie Johnson, Josh Allen, Fitzpatrick, Sneaky Joe, Kyle. Who's Kyle?
Who the fuck is Kyle? Kyle Orton?
I don't know. Booby Dixon.
Dixon.
Chris Berman and the two of you. Here's my question for you based on that. If I could call up the cast, casting Buffalo right now and say, yo, man, let my guy Joe from Queens, give him a cameo in the movie. What would you have wanted to do? What part of that movie would you have been in? Like, what would have been your idea?
Can I make my own scene though? Like, so I would like to have been like a homeless guy in the street, and I would have yelled, "They're never gonna win. They're never gonna win." A naysayer, like they're just not gonna win. Why are you even here? Like, why are you two even talking? I would have been the guy who would like once Timu Jim from Office went to her and was like, I'm going to go to her and tell her like, I love her. I would be the homeless guy and tell him, dude, you know what happened the last time the Bills were in the Super Bowl? They choked. Don't do it, buddy. You're going to lose. And then I would scare him and he'd run off. And that's what I would do.
So you'd be the cynic Bills fan. You'd be the...
Yes, I'd be the homeless guy on the street with my leaf pile beer. What about you? What the hell would you be? Aside from the bartender that everyone slept with, allegedly.
I would have been the bartender.
Of course you would.
Just for a cameo, I would have liked to have been the bartender, man.
Would you have?
By the way, that bartender would look like he was trying to kick it a little bit with Morgan, the lead character at the beginning. He was giving her that.
I love how you know all of their names on this.
I watched it twice and I pay attention.
Yeah, because I'm going to be
writing. I'm writing review. I write reviews for all my Christmas movies, so I kind of pay more attention. Let me follow up with Orville. He said other wish list on my cameos. He said Tooch. I love Tooch. See, we're making Tooch into a celebrity. Russ Brandon.
Oh, he'd be in the broom closet with someone.
William Matar. Shout out William Matar. Throw up the 4s. Sponsor of the show now. Matt Rich Warren, that's 3rd. That's not wrong.
It's 7th. It's the 7th, buddy.
Matt Rich Warren, the 7th. Sean Dolak and Rockin' Whirl. That's good.
Hey, shout out. Yo, Kevin Snow's in the thing. He misses Tone Pucks. Yeah, Kevin Snow. He's down there.
He misses Tone Pucks?
Yeah, I miss Tone Pucks too. We should bring him back. You
Let's
guys,
not do
look,
that.
look, the Christmas spirit should make you want to make amends to Tone Pucks. That's what it's all about. It's time for you and him to make amends.
I
If the
talked
Christmas
to him,
spirit,
you know. So
yeah,
I'm in a
you
group
steal
chat.
it. You steal his hockey takes. We didn't even talk about the Sabres.
He does have some good takes.
Okay, we have to get out of here. But like, do you have a Sabres take? Can you? They're like 500 now, right? I haven't watched anything.
Yeah, they're 9-9-4. They lose to Calgary. So they beat Edmonton on Monday, who's they're Edmonton.
Yeah,
and then they play Calgary on Wednesday. Calgary's the worst team in the NHL. Calgary was playing the second of back-to-backs. It was tied going into the third period, and Calgary looked fresh, and the Sabres were dead. And they got smacked. I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
I put it on in the third period of that game, and I was like, this was a mistake. Yes, but go ahead.
No, so they lose to fucking Calgary, but then they scored 9 on Chicago on Sunday, and then they just beat Carolina today here on Sunday, and they looked impressive. And UPL all of a sudden plays a really good game. Now, as soon as he plays good, you start to get high on him, he'll let in fucking 5 goals on 14 shots. I talk to Tone Pucks every day, by the way. Him and his cousin, who's a cool dude. A very negative dude. He's kind of like you, maybe even worse.
You need. I'm positive. What the fuck are you talking about? You need to bring Tone Pucks back.
Not going to happen.
I am the ghost of Christmas future. If you don't bring Tone Pucks back, Talking Buffalo will die. There you go.
No,
all right, let's get the hell out of here. We're like 10 minutes over.
Condescending to me too, man. He talks a lot of
but
shit.
I'm condescending too. We're all you're an idiot.
True.
Of course, we're going to be condescending to you.
All right, let's get out of here, man. I do appreciate it again. No Bills game. We still had a nice active live chat on the video side. Everyone's going to listen to this. Appreciate you guys as well. Probably in hindsight, we should have saved the Hallmark movie for the second half, but I was excited about it.
Oh
and
my
I wanted
God.
to talk about it.
Yeah, you wanted to pander and then talk about the cameos and talk about Salfie and Mafia Matt and what I call Talbot now. He's got a new nickname. It's
something clicks.
No, yeah, it's Clickbait Talbot, which I'm sticking with. Clickbait Talbot. Team Source Josh Reed. He wasn't in there. Sorry. I'm just gonna make
mailbag. Jay Skursky's the mailbag guy.
Mailbag Jay. Mailbag Jay. Yes, and I got to come one day in the February offseason. We're doing a nickname episode. I'm just gonna give nicknames to every single Bills beat, even the Sabres. Everyone. I gotta give Lance a nickname. Lance Bass. I don't know what the hell. Lance in Sync.
I feel like every media member that wanted to be in that movie was in it. Like the people like Ryan, Matt, and Sal. Probably were happy. They were eager to have a cameo.
They were sending fruit baskets to the fucking director to get in that
I feel like people like Joe B or Skursky.
No, Tim Graham's not going to be on that show.
Tim's not going to do that because you're not going to tell Tim what to do in the cameo. Tim's going to do what he wants.
Well, no, Tim would. I'm sure he would be a journalist asking a tough question. I mean, you wouldn't be, sitting there going.
Sure. Anyway, it was fun for them, and I'm a little bit jelly. I'm not going to lie. Anyway,
all right, my God.
Let's get out of here. I got Chris Ostrander coming up. We talked Sabres for 2 minutes here at the end. So
he's a good guy.
Yeah, Chris Ostrander will be on tomorrow, and we'll. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. Brand new show coming right back at you tomorrow.